Councillor Calhoun. Public comments on the floor? Go ahead.
You seem to have a guy ride around town with pickup plow the sidewalks. What's the deal with that, I guess? We hire somebody to plow sidewalks and already overstaffed highway departments, or just ask them that?
So we had, the street sweeper, the sidewalk machine has been broken, and so we decided to, get quotes on cleaning the sidewalks. My understanding was they were gonna use a snow blower to clean them.
That was my understanding.
Yeah, if they're doing something other than,
So
They
they're
haven't used
using,
a snow blower yet.
they haven't, well.
They use a pickup.
Okay,
Don't
well,
we have a pickup and plow on it?
Yep.
And plow trucks with plows on it, and
I will talk to our vendor and, ask why he's not using the snow blower. We assume he was using the snow blower.
It does need to be a better job than it's done.
Okay. Another,
There's sections not being done at all, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't
we
gonna bring it
don't
up
have
until
enough
Bill's.
equipment that we could plow it ourselves.
the quote we received was really reasonably priced at less than what we could fix the sidewalk machine for, so we decided to go that route.
I think, Chuck, it's cheaper than we could do in-house, paying our own guys to do it. I'm telling you, no, I'm serious.
I'm not arguing that, but we're already top heavy, one person there.
Agreed.
I guess to get another point besides that, I haven't seen, but I've heard a lot of rumors around that the police department is spending money like, maybe they're hemorrhaging money, I don't know, buying pickups, and I heard uniforms and lettered pickups, and where is this gonna end? This town is shrinking and the spending is not. When I was in the council, we were buying used vehicles from the town of Orono that had 40,000 miles on them, you know? We were buying it for the price of the installation of the radios. We gotta pull the plug somewhere, just gotta calm down, because we look in the surrounding towns, nobody's got a police department like we do have here. Patton, Sherman, Washburn, I don't know, there's Mapleton, where's it gonna end? I mean, we used to have a small police force, and I guess that was okay, but now, what's the budget gonna be this year? It ain't gonna cut it on 400,000. This ain't gonna happen. And the chief is, when I was on the council, the next chief we were gonna hire was gonna reside in the town of Ashland. This chief is twice as far away as the last chief. And I understand that we're providing him a vehicle to travel with.
So the council is finding people's hard.
There's no question.
Sure. So we made the decision, since we couldn't find anybody that was local in town, that we would have to go outside of the town to hire that position. I agree, it would be nice to find somebody that resided in the town, but
And to provide him a vehicle to travel with?
it was with, insurances and stuff, with, if he's responding to a call from there, or really from anywhere, and he's in his personal vehicle, then it's a liability.
The other thing is too, is he's not taking any health insurance or any of that, because he's got his main state police retirement that takes care of all of his, so we're not paying benefits on him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the benefit that he got, rather than his health insurance and retirement and all of that, because that's already taken care of. So it was kind of in lieu of that benefit. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's how we were pitched, went that direction.
The
that'll have to come from somebody that pays the bills, we don't know.
Yeah, I think we do provide the gas for it.
What vehicles you taking home?
The Impala, I believe.
Oh, I heard that was going up for bid.
No, no, Tahoe is on up for bid.
Yeah, but next, I thought you guys were getting rid of two. You
Well,
talked the other night,
We're
two
we're not
haven't
there
made it.
yet, 'cause we don't have the other vehicle in place yet.
Right,
Yeah.
but I heard that they wanted to get rid of that.
That may be what the chief wants to do, we haven't had that discussion.
That's just a rumor, folks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The last administration, supposedly looked into it, what's happened to, the house across the road from my place?
Oh,
Ellis, thank you. What's happened with the Ellis house? Has anybody looked into that before that completely falls in and it's just a liability to the town?
federal government.
Yeah, the
Well,
issue
you're
is-
right, it's easy to say that, but, I mean, somebody's gotta relinquish something, because we're,
We were told by Laura to stop.
Right.
yeah, but when? I mean,
So, when did that law come in? He probably doesn't know about that new law that came in.
I know about the new law, but.
September?
Yeah, it
Told
was,
us
it was
about
this past fall that,
A lawyer came in and said, stop, don't go there, basically just maintain.
Right, but has anybody talked to the IRS? I mean, at what point do they relinquish, or do we, I mean,
I've been
at some point.
told that we're now into year 6, and the IRS typically won't do anything in terms of either release or discharge unless it's a minimum of 10 years. That's what I've been told. Try to get an actual person on the phone at the IRS to help answer any of that questions is next to impossible.
Yeah, well,
But
I'm
in
sure.
the stage of the game, because of the federal lien on the property, it's tied up.
Stalemate.
It's stalemated, there's nothing we can do. So, the one thing that we did do, before, Christmas, is we've had there was 2 meters we were paying for, and we've closed the meters down, because there's no sense paying $50 per meter for nothing, so.
Now, is that with all property, or just when the IRS takes over? Because I know there's a new rule on when you take over property now, you can't make a profit and all this.
That's a private, well, that's a
Yeah,
private
but
owner, but this is
That's
the
a
IRS.
tax-
Yes, I know,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying, and what happens with those ones, I mean, we're just gonna end up with a whole pile of property sitting rotten.
You just tear them down.
I know there's some legislature that's going through the state right now to try to navigate that, and they revise some of the rules. Obviously with the Ellis Farm, it's totally different deal. But I know there's still some talks of legislation on how to navigate that,
Yeah, it's a mess.
to help you. Afraid you had something? Did you have something?
Yeah. Well, you guys were talking about the police force here a while ago. Did anybody ever look into how much it would cost for us to go like Washburn did, or any other towns that did away with the police department and had sheriffs and state police? Anybody ever do a study on that here? Anybody on the town council? I'd like to know.
Well, I can tell you that when they were.
You ever,
I
Chris?
did not, but from what we were told, at the time with the current police situation here, I won't say that unless it was an emergency, they weren't coming to help. We were trying to rectify the situation, and now we're getting the help. You know what I mean? We were in a bad spot, we really were,
Yeah.
and they didn't wanna be involved, really,
I was just looking
the
at,
state or the county.
in the report, how much it's costing us, you know what I mean? And like Chuck's saying,
I
this
agree.
town is dying, so it's costing the taxpayer more money for all of this. So something's gotta be done.
I agree.
Something's gotta be done, people. Kevin, you're there right now. You're not the town manager, but somebody's coming in, and we have no businesses coming into this town, which is gonna produce taxes. people working. It's not happening. You see it.
I agree.
The mills, there's no mills, you know, what little bit there is. You know, little businesses, Carl, you got one, I had one, you know, we don't hire a lot of people. So what's gonna happen here? That's what I'm saying, you know, I'm all for the town, I am, I've lived here my whole life, so
So-
I want to see something
To touch on
come
the
about.
police force, I mean, the other towns around us, when they call for police, like a break-in or anything like that, they don't get the police, they don't respond for days, because it's not an emergency. It's all on tiered with the emergency. If someone's breaking in your house and you're there right now, they'll probably come. If it's a battery, they'll probably come.
They go by, I
No,
see.
right.
Yeah.
So it's just gotten, the state police and the sheriffs don't have enough coverage to cover what they're doing. They have one sheriff to cover all of Aroostook County, or like the
Yeah,
northern half of
yeah,
Aroostook County.
which I understand.
So,
Yeah.
we're at a spot where if we don't want police, then residents won't have, you won't have the response.
Yeah,
And we felt that we wanted a police department to help the older residents in our town. I'm hopeful that this new police chief will
yeah,
help us and maybe get more grants, so we don't have to, that we don't have to come up with so much more money
Right.
as the town does.
yeah.
He seems to be, you know, looking every day. I think he's gonna do a lot better than the past administration, but we need to give him a chance, you know?
Mhm.
He's kinda starting out with pretty much almost nothing, and trying to rebuild it. And his plan is down the road to apply for more grants, so we're not raising as much money as the town to fund it. So that's my stance.
And that being said, we have spent a lot of money to set him up, but I talked to Kevin today, we've got to pull the reins back.
Right.
Because we have given, in
Right.
good faith,
Yeah,
we have given him what he needs to start fresh
yeah,
and get things rolling. But it's gotta, we're coming into a new fiscal year, we had a little bit extra last year because there was spotty service, you know, we had 2 officers, you know, we didn't have full coverage. Some of that money was budgeted, was there. Set him up, new budget's coming in, we just can't start writing $50,000 checks every month, cause it's not there.
you're right, yeah.
You know, we've got to
I
learn
agree.
how to live on that budget, because in his interview, he did say, we know that the town is tapped, if we want more, he has to find more, so he's gonna be held to account.
And I have some updates in my manager's report, you know, so we can talk about that.
Anybody else? Ellie, you have something?
I have more stuff about the town Christmas lights. I have a flyer that, we can put up, like, and, I have more, like, some ideas, like, to ask local businesses for, like, to sponsor a light, and to ask people, like, to sponsor one in memory of someone, kind of like how, Nathan did.
Do you wanna pass that, stuff you have?
She say that there are new bottle drives.
She had some different,
The
ideas.
reason why I was asking is if they open up an account there, I have 2 bags that, I know it's hard to go out and get bottles, but if they have a place to donate the money to,
So one thing, she was kinda wondering is if somebody did wanna donate or make a donation, could they make a check payable to the town of Ashland with a memo?
Right.
For the Christmas
Yeah.
lights?
Yep.
Versus
Yeah.
opening up my account?
Earmark, yeah,
Earmark it?
sure, yeah.
You guys know
Should
what
probably be an account
she's-
open for that then, at the bank. The town should have an account open for that then, once that starts.
Yep, we could.
does everyone know what she's trying to do? Raise money for lights, for the street lights,
Well,
for holiday, Christmas stuff. That's what she's trying to do.
Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you, Ed.
It's a good idea.
Does anybody have anything else? Seeing no more business on the floor, we'll move on to consent items. Review review, approve, and sign minutes from December 17th, 2024 regular town council meeting.
I move we approve and sign the minutes from December 17th, 2024, regular council meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Next item, review, approve, and sign 2024 treasurer warrants 50P through 1R.
I move that we approve and sign the 2024 treasurer warrants 50P through 1P.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the minutes, or on the warrants?
Just a note, one D and one P are 2025.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Any discussion? on the warrants? All in favor? Oops.
I think there's a signature that needs to go with this one.
Signature page on one of them.
Is there one?
This warrant,
That second one, that one's underneath, that one?
Fifty-two B.
52B.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's, Okay, next item, moving on to new business, review, discuss, and approve or disapprove for a 2025 CAN application.
As you're aware, last year for 2024, you had a $500,000 tax anticipation note, and the bank requires every new fiscal year that you either approve or disapprove it. You're going to ask for application to do a note, and our recommendation is that you do the same amount, $500,000, and use our current banking vendor, which is Battalion Trust Company, for the 500. Last year, we only did draw down $350, but you only pay interest when you take the funds out. And usually, if I remember what Tammy told me, we're usually good till about April, May, and then that's typically the time that you gotta do it till the tax revenues start coming in from property tax. So your motion would be authorize to go after a 500,000 tan with Qatar.
Move that we apply for $500,000 TAN application with Town Trust for the 2025 fiscal year.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, discuss budget dates for the budget committee and council.
So I went back to your notes from 2024, just to get an idea of all the projection dates. And here's what we're recommending. We would post the budget committee meeting no later than the 28th. And then Jim Heisman, chair of the budget committee, has got his committee members prepared to meet on the 4th of February at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. And then, after they have reviewed that budget, if there's any, recommendations that they would ask the staff to make to the budget that they would like to bring to the full council, we have time to make those changes. And then at the regular council meeting next month, February 11th, you could take up the budget. And if there are other potential changes or comments that need a little bit more time for us to finalize, we'd have time to do that. You have basically from the 12th of February till the 20th roughly, because February 20th last year is when you actually signed the warrant for the town report for the budget. So we do have time to do a special meeting between Jim's committee meeting and the 20th, let's say, in order to finish the warrant that will go into the town report for the entire budget. So we've got basically time to work through any questions about the budget up through the 20th of February, and that gives us enough time for it to be put into the town report. I'm not sure what date they actually did the report last year, but it must have been sometime just after the 20th, because the warrant was dated for the 20th, that was in the book. So, and then the town vote will be March 18th. If I remember correctly, the 17th, the 18th is a Monday, the 19th is the actual vote for the budget. Monday we do the vote for the council and the water district, and then Tuesday is the normal day you do the special meeting for the ballot for the budget. So, so those are the recommended dates. I don't know if Jim has anything else to add to that for budget committee. Does that give you enough time?
I think that, based on the last 2 years, that's plenty of time, and we were able to work things out, so.
So the only thing I'll add, the week of February 17th, I'll be out of town.
Well, with any good work, approvals from the budget committee, hopefully we'll have a good draft budget for you for the 11th, so you've got time from the 11th to the 17th to issue. Okay, so that still gives you time. So, I don't think you need to do any vote on it, but that's the proposed date that we'll shoot for to get everything done. Okay.
Next item, discuss 2025 subsidy process for surrounding towns.
I went back and looked at the meeting minutes from April, and I just want to bring these back to your attention as we get ready to do the discussion of the surrounding towns for the subsidies. The public comments that were made at the April 9th meeting, residents of Portage, Garfield, and Sardis has concerns on the amount of subsidies each town is required to pay for ambulance, rec department, and library. They would like to pick and choose which services they want and not to have them in an all or nothing bundle. They also wanted to be able to see exactly how the subsidy money is allocated for each budget category and where any unexpended balances are closed to at the end of the actual fiscal year. Portage Town Manager Corrine Luzier did an overview of the meeting of the towns that they had on April 8th of 2024 and expressed their concerns. After lots of discussions back and forth, Councilmember Tom Raymond made a motion to let the communities pick and choose which services they wanted and not have the services bundled. Sherry Calhoun seconded the motion, no discussion, motion carried. The towns will form a joint committee with a couple of representatives from each town to attend to discuss subsidies. First meeting will be on April 24th. And if I recall, I think, did you and Tyler both go, Chris? Okay, so at this stage, they've teed up and contacted me, about subsidy discussion. And so I'm scheduled to go to the Portage, selectmen meeting tomorrow night. So I will find out what they're thinking, and, the thing that I wanna know from the council is, do you want me to reach out to the towns to find out what subsidies they're gonna be interested in, rather than us do a straight bundle, cause you have all said that you're going to allow them to pick and choose. Now, the one item that's not listed here is the police force. And some of the discussions about the police force, there's been some changes that have occurred here in the last couple of months. One of them being, Irving has just recently bought the Daquam lumber mill in Mesardis. So that's a Mesardis asset for tax purposes. When Irving, contributed and did a donation of, I think, $20,000 in the past for a police cruiser, there was sort of a gentleman's agreement between Irving Security and Ashland Police Chief that we would do visits to the mill in Nashville, okay? Some Nashville residents actually did, I guess, voice concerns that they saw the police cruiser going in and out of Nashville, and wondered why, since they're not taking part of the subsidy for police coverage. Now that Daquam is now gonna be owned by Irving, I've asked the chief to put a call into the chief of security to find out, one, what is the expectation about support, since we have been covering the Nashville mill, but there's no agreement about Mesardis and us sending anybody up to Mesardis. So, what I would like to do is be able to have the chief come up with a list of items that we could say to the towns, surrounding towns, particularly, Nashville, Portage, and Mesardis, that if you were interested in the police subsidy, here's what we can offer, and here's a reason why you might have an interest, because now the two largest taxpayers, both in Mesardis and Nashville, happens to be the Irving Corporation, and there is an expectation that we would provide some police support to them, and I've asked the chief to have that conversation with the security chief out at Irving and see what they want to do, because if they're interested, then it's kind of on their dime to reach out to both the selectmen of Portage and, or I should say Nashville, for the mill in Nashville, and to the Mesardis selectmen, and ask them whether or not they're willing to entertain having the police coverage and have a police subsidy, because they're a taxpayer, and if they're expecting coverage, right now, they're at their mercy just like the rest of us. There is one deputy sheriff that's covering from about Knowles Corner to Fort Kent. So you have, and when the state police were doing this route, they just recently switched. State police are doing Route 1 now, deputy sheriffs are doing Route 11. The state police, their guys go back home at midnight, so there's no coverage from midnight to 7 a.m. every morning, every day. So, that's why the fact that we now have a police force, we're the only entity in that general vicinity from Knowles Corner to Fort Kent, that if there's an expectation by both people, citizens, and businesses for police coverage, we've got the police force to do it, but they need to consider whether or not they're willing to do part of the police subsidy, and that's one of the things that I'll probably try to describe to Portage tomorrow night, let them know what's going on, at least with Nashville and Mesardis with that regard. And so, we will work out the numbers, and we can offer it to them. It'll be up to them to make the decision if they want to do it, but, I wanted to make sure that you guys were in agreement with us at least offering the opportunity for the police subsidy to be added to the bundle of opportunity for subsidies.
I think it always was offered in the past, it was just never part of the bundle.
There was a bonus.
if they wanted it. or
However,
something.
yeah, I did reach out to Portage Selectmen, and they would entertain Chief Steer coming to do a presentation there,
Okay.
and, I believe Garfield as well, which would obviously help out with some of that. But I know they've gotten some, resident complaints as well, because they've had residents call 911 and they didn't show up for hours.
Yeah, and that into the foreseeable future is probably not gonna change because they're so short-handed in both departments. So, the fact that we do have a police force, hopefully the selectmen in these surrounding towns would entertain that there's an opportunity to get coverage that they haven't had in the past. So at least we'll do the query and say, would you like to have, somebody come and talk, and we'll, like I said, we'll ask, Bergen, to weigh in from their perspective, because they can help help the selectmen in those decisions for Nashville and Sardis now that they've got two big plants to worry about, so. So that's really all I had about subsidy that I wanted to share with you.
I know, I talked to Corinne and a few other members up there in Portage, and they understand their situation. And Corinne was telling me, she goes, it's not that we're gonna pick or choose, they're just more wanting to know where the subsidies went, if there's any leftovers, where does it go, from what I understood.
Yes, and our game plan is as soon as we have the financial statements completely closed out for 2024, we are prepared to provide them the transfer amounts that we're doing, and council had all agreed that any of these numbers are transferred into the respective equipment reserve accounts. So we'll be able to show that through the TRIO system once we're totally closed out, but we're not quite closed out yet. We still have a bill that still haven't come in from vendors that we're waiting for, so we can get those included in the final numbers for 2024, so.
And a lot of it too is, we would just send them a bill for X amount of dollars. They just wanted to be able to justify it to their residents.
Yes.
Why it was so
explain
much.
it.
I mean, just
Right.
like when I send a bill to a customer, just send a bill for X amount of dollars. You gotta kinda
Yeah.
show or justify how you can help with it.
I think that was the biggest.
And I thought, to me, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the ordinary. I think a lot of them just, they thought they were getting force fed it, and that was what was really ticking them off.
All right, so Portage is first up, since I haven't known each one, so we'll have that discussion.
Harlan, can I ask something?
Sure.
To Kevin, is there grant money available to cover, like, the mill in Masardis? Or have we gotta is that gotta come out of us, town of Ashland? Or is the town of Masardis going to put in money? And if so, how much?
Well,
They may not want to.
right, that's what we're talking about, is
Yeah.
they can take, just like they do library, recreation, and
Right.
ambulance, they can also do police subsidy, and we would negotiate with them on the police subsidy, police subsidy amount, and then that would be an annual payment that they would make for that coverage for the year 2025, so that's what
But-
we're talking about.
Whatever, I don't know what you guys asked to do that, but if it's not enough and they don't wanna pay it, so what happens?
Well,
We'll have to sit down at the table and,
Right.
we'd have to sit down at the table and talk about it, negotiate it with them.
Yeah.
yeah,
To figure out what their expectations are too, and that's gonna greatly depend on
right.
how much
Yeah,
we charge them.
yeah.
I mean, if their expectations is drive through town once a day, that's gonna be less than if you gotta go out there 3 times
Yeah.
in the night, you don't know
Yeah,
what their expectations would be.
I was just curious there, I don't know
No, it's something they have to
Yeah.
come up with.
And see, right now, none of the surrounding towns, are utilizing our police force under our subsidy program. So technically speaking, if, we went out to Nashville, let's say, and we hit a moose, that's on the town of Ashland to deal with the repair, because
To deal
we have
with
no funds for Nashville,
Yeah.
coming from Nashville to help pay for the cost of anything involved with the police department.
Okay.
If we go out, and this is the other piece of this, is if we go out to the mill and there is a burglar underway, and that burglar either takes a shot or injures one of our officers while he's on that call, we have no jurisdictional element for Nashville, because we don't even have a memorandum of agreement or a mutual aid agreement with Nashville or with any of the towns.
Even though you're covering them?
Well, like I said, the only reason why the police vehicle is going out to Nashville at the moment is for the mill, because that was a gentleman's agreement a couple of years back when they donated towards the police.
Okay.
They wanted a
So now they're
periodic.
not.
Well, it's been over 2 years since that's occurred, so the
Okay.
question is, how long does that gentleman's agreement, that was a former administration, and that no
Right.
longer is in play, and I'm concerned as the town manager that we have an issue that we
So
send somebody out.
do you still have an officer going out there,
Yes.
although there's
Yes.
no coverage?
That's right, to the mill, only to the mill,
Only to the mill?
only
So
to
what
the
about
mill.
Masardis Mill, are they supposed to be out there?
Well, that's why I've asked my chief of police to call the security and find out what is the expectation,
But
because,
right now, are they supposed to be out there?
no, they're not,
No.
Oh,
that's
I
correct.
came through 11 Saturday night, and the truck was in almost to Oxbow, and the black cruiser was at the mill, talking to the night security guy.
Well, there is no expectation that we're supposed to be covering the Sardis.
Was there,
Unless there was a report, unless there was a call.
call from the state
Right, if
police
there was a
or
call from the
something?
sheriff,
Well, maybe
they would
there was
respond.
an accident, but the
Yeah,
truck
so
was
they
at
may
the-
have been
called out. See, we still. So
What-
both of them would go to the,
No, it's only one.
because the other cruiser was at the mill, just talking to the
But
night watchman.
he does go to the building, Miss Artis. He go talk to my security in there.
Yeah, and right now,
Once a week
technically, we
they're out
have we have no requirement to do that.
So they're out of jurisdiction, so they're putting us at liability essentially.
Right.
Well, yeah, but there's,
So it-
that's a fine line, there's a
It's
state
something
of
that we
Maine.
need to work out,
Yeah.
so we'll move on from here just to get through the business, but it's obviously something we need to figure out.
Can you look
We shouldn't just
into,
be preemptively going into Masardis.
Right, but
Without
can you-
being the state police.
there was a state, mutual aid that a cop is on when they're traveling, whether they're going to Presque Isle or whether they're going to Fort Kent to court, if they see a speeder, they have the right to pull them over. All the towns joined that except for Fort Fairfield years ago. Fort Fairfield, not Fort Fairfield, Limestone. I believe they've signed on now, but they don't have a police department anymore. But they didn't sign on to that. If you look into it, there was an agreement that the state wrote a complete thing to where, because like cops going to another town to go
Yeah.
to court, they'd meet a speeder, they had no right to stop them. So they all signed this agreement that the state made up, like they have a state of Maine
Yeah.
mutual aid fire.
I've heard of that, so we'll leave it at that, we'll look
Yeah.
into it, and we just need to move on through business. Old business is, civilian advisory group for police department, request the table.
Yeah, with year-end closeout and budget work, we just thought that's not a burning issue. We'll continue to work on that, and when we're ready to come back to the council with a recommendation, I'd like to
Yeah.
table it indefinitely at the moment.
Do you have any information on that, Dudley? Or I guess you
Probably should, just so that we keep it as a table item.
I move that we table the civilian advisory group for the police department until further information becomes available, and we get a plan together.
Any discussion on it? All in favor? Next item, Ashland Farming Park, National Registry application.
We talked about it at the last meeting, I still have some more work to do on pros and cons of, turning it into a national registry. And I need to talk to the gentleman down in Augusta anyway to find out how that relates to the current, grant that encumbered the property for that 25-year recreation thing. So I need to find out the implications of that, so I just need some more time to get some answers on that before we try to move forward on that one. So again, just asking to table to let me get more information.
I move that we table the Ashland Garden Park National Registry application application until we have the information from the state to see the legalities to move forward.
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I would like to make a statement about the park.
We're in council business right now, sorry.
If,
We're in council business right now, I'm sorry.
oh,
That could be something you could talk about the public comments. Unless, possible executive meeting to discuss personal issue, we will table that to the end of the meeting, so, city manager's report.
Okay, first item is, we did get a thank you letter from, Lifelight for our gift of $605 for 2025. Secondly, I received the food pantry request for 2025, for $867. We usually include $1,000 each year in the budget, so we'll just continue to put $1,000 in the budget for the food pantry. Number three, the 20-plus-year-old water heater at the rec center finally died on us, so we replaced that this week. We were able to get that done for $1,383 installed, and Wendell, is she here? Yeah, is it working good, everything's good? Okay. Number four, we received the Woodlands budget, and I do have a copy of that for you, I'll take a copy, from Prentice and Carlisle. As I was looking through it, I wasn't quite sure about the subsection on the opposite page that talks about the road expense. It was like $10,400. So I asked Bob Chandler, the Prentice and Carlisle person, about that, and he responded back to me because I wasn't sure how that related to the numbers. He said the road cost is included in the top line, which is your Stumpy sales number, on the first page of that $19,375. So in other words, that $10,400 road expense is not an additional cost to the first page, it's already included. We just break it out into sub-reports so that the town understands what kind of money we are investing in forest roads each year to harvest the budgeted volume of wood. Hopefully that helps, but, let him know if you have any need further explanation. So, from my understanding, their projection for 2025 is a net of $5,970. I did have a follow-on email with their forester. Their prices have been really, the market for lumber has been pretty low through 2024. What they're telling me for the town report doesn't show that there's gonna be, they're not projecting much of an uptick. And it's probably, that's showing why the pricing that they're showing is what it is, because the cost of, or the lumber prices are still down. So, any comment or question on that?
How many acres do they manage? That seems awfully low. They're paying an awful lot of money to make $5,000.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual acreage is, but.
I don't know if we ever got something broke down like this before, it doesn't work.
I will look into number of acres.
It says we got 2.5 miles of road, or forest, we got 2.5 miles of, town lines, and it's expensive, $2,200.
I've seen this for a few years, but for that money, it's not what it was for us.
$5,000, I mean, that's, what, a week's work? It's stretched over a whole year. I mean, that wouldn't even fuel up a bunker for a week. It seems pretty.
Well, if there's any other questions, just get them to me, and I'm glad to forward them. I have asked the Ashland Historical Society, if you're aware, that they've taken over the VFW building, and we're tight for space at the library based on all the new programs that Hillary's been putting in place. So I've asked the society to transfer the items that they have in the basement so it can free up some space for the library itself. And Hillary needs that space for storage as she's increasing her circulations from her grant and accommodating the new PC training classes that she's having in the basement. So she's currently already overburdened with lack of storage now, And I, told Rose Chambers, the lead person for the Historical Society, that we can offer some help from the highway crew after springtime hits and they're able to make a plan to get their things moved. She did stop by to see me today. There are a couple of items that may have to stay, because she doesn't think they'll have room for them down at the VFW. So I'm working with her to figure out what will stay and what not, and she'll be discussing that with Hillary. Hopefully they'll come up to a happy medium on what stays for the Historical Society and allow, Hillary to have some storage space that she desperately needs for the library. So that's underway, and, I do know that they are likely to be starting to seek opportunity for, donations, and I think, I wouldn't be surprised if we might get a letter asking for the town to consider, some sort of a contribution to the Historical Society. Her operating cost just to maintain the VFW is quite expensive, given the fact that they're no longer gonna be operating on the library. We paid the heat and lights and what have you for them there, and now they're finding out how expensive it is to actually operate a building on their own. So more to follow on that. Next item is, we did receive the $5,000 check from the Stardust for their 2024 library subsidy. The remaining balance of $5,522.69, we now have it on our books as an accounts receivable. I don't anticipate that any further payment is gonna be forthcoming from the Stardust. And I would just say to you, the council can decide, whether to write off or to send the collection at a future date, but we do have it on the books as a receivable at the moment. And that's all I have on that. Number 7, I expect to finish all of the annual performance reviews for the staff here by the end of the month. We're working those now, and hopefully by the next meeting, I'll be able to report out to you that we finished those up. The next item is, Chief Sear, and this is a good piece of news, and this relates to the police department. The, chief had applied for a grant, and we didn't know the results of that at the last meeting, whether or not there was gonna be any success of that, but, we did get a note, and here's a copy of the note that came from, the Emergency Management Agency here for Aroostook County. There's a Homeland Security, grant, and the Ashland Police Department was awarded up to $7,800 to cover, a repeater for the vehicle. So, that estimate, Chief told me today, for our new vehicle is about a $7,000, price tag out of the list of, things that we're putting into the vehicle. So we're gonna, the way the grant works through EMA is we pay the bill, we submit it to the county, and they're gonna reimburse us back up to $78,000. So in this case, we're expecting probably about $7,000 of reimbursement to pay for that repeater that goes into the vehicle. So that's a savings off the equipment, cost, for the new vehicle. And then secondly, we were anticipating, to submit grant requests to the Northern Border Regional Commission and to the Community Oriented Policing Services COPS program for both workforce development / new hire funds. I know that the COPS program, if you're successful in getting that one, they can provide funding for up to 3 years for new hires, as you're developing workforce development for a new hire for a rural community. So, the chief is working with, there's a grant writer, on the staff down at the County Sheriff's Department, and they're assisting us with that, so that's ongoing. I'm not sure that the actual 2025 package details from these two entities are online yet, but we're going by what they had last year just to start working some drafts up. So our goal is to get both applications in for at least those two entities, and hopefully, if we have some success, we'll get some relief for some funds for police payroll. So, and that is all I have for Andrew's report.
Thank you. Council items? You have anything?
No, I'm good.
So, I don't. Chris?
Discussed everything at the beginning.
One thing I had is the rec bus. And some mechanical issues.
I have an update.
That you do.
We thought we were gonna be in dire straits in terms of, keeping it running. Stacy was able to find tie rod replacement parts and tool rigs. And he's planning to, we've ordered the tie rods and we're gonna do the repairs, and that should hopefully get us through the winter. As a backup, I reached out to the school department, and Joel, talked with Lucas, his, transportation supervisor, and if we need a bus, particularly for an out-of-town trip, and there's an issue, Lendl knows that if the bus, if there's an issue, we can reach out to the school, and, sort of the gentleman's agreement is we would cover cost of gas if we were gonna take it to Presque Isle or Caribou, whatever that outside town event is, if we need to have a more, reliable bus if there's an issue. So that is our current game plan to work with. If the rec bus is problematic, we can always get, one of the school buses for an out-of-town trip. So I've asked Lendl to do his best to limit the rec bus to local, here in town, and if it looks like we need an outside trip, if the bus is acting up or whatever, don't take a chance, let's let the school know, and let's try to arrange for a school bus. And Lendl is, got the school license, CDL for the school bus, and he can drive it. And he's been driving for Joel, on occasion anyway, so Joel is familiar with Lendl, and that should all work out if we need to use the bus. So, at this stage of the game, I think we'll get through the winter, but as summer approaches, we may need to look at what we might wanna do going into the fall or into next year. Joel did mention that they've applied for a new school bus, through whatever funding mechanisms he has access to, but he says he doesn't think he'll know until midsummer if he gets it, but if he does, the school district may have, another bus that they're gonna be looking to probably sell. So that is potentially, something that we can look at down the road. But at this stage of the game, we're hoping we can get through this summer with the current rec bus with the repairs that Tracy's gonna make. So,
Was Joe open to anything long-term?
he was certainly open to, us potentially being interested in buying one of his buses if he gets a new one. Beyond that, I didn't ask about a longer-term perspective, but I think that I could approach Joel and ask him about a longer-term perspective if we thought we didn't wanna either purchase and or try to continue to keep the current bus operating if there are future issues with it. So, I'll ask the question. Okay.
What year's our bus, what year's that bus anyway?
Wendell, any idea? I don't know.
Older than you, Wendell?
No.
Maybe 2000.
The only, I want to speak, but, the only thing is that one is handicap accessible, and they got none up there, so handicap accessible. That's the only one with that, but that's just deals with senior citizens.
That's the only thing I'll have. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Move to go into executive session to discuss personnel issue for Maine State Title Law 1 MSRA Section 405-6.
All in favor?